Well, welcome once again to Calaveras Living. Now, you're looking right there on camera, a poster for Sierra Repertory Theater for the current show that's running Les Miserables. And if you haven't been to one of the theaters for SRT, I don't know why you're living here. The shows are so good. So try to get out to Fallon House for the rest of the season, or the theater in Sonora. But we're going to talk with Sara Jones, who's the managing director at SRT, and with the gentleman who's playing, well, I don't know if he's a gentleman, I just met him, but I assume he is, who's playing the lead in Les Mis, and Cliff McCormick. Good to see you both.
Thank you, John.
It's a pleasure being here. So we got off to a good start on March 1st.
Yes, we did. We opened our 35th anniversary season.
35th.
Yeah, with Les Miserables, a giant show to really kind of test ourselves.
It's a hard show, isn't it? I mean, it's very ambitious.
It is very ambitious. The show is just enormous in every way. Sets, costumes, and most particularly the cast. The show is sung almost entirely through for 3 hours, so the performers have to be just extraordinary singers and actors.
How many in the cast, sir?
I think it's 32.
Yeah, well, that's a big cast, because
Yeah.
some of the shows you have, there will be maybe 9 or 10 or something like that.
Exactly.
You know.
I think this is either tied for the highest or it's the highest. Definitely in a number of years, it's the largest cast we've had.
Now, Cliff, have you been in this particular, of course, another Les Mis production somewhere else?
Yes. Actually, the same role. I was Jean Valjean over a decade ago, oddly enough. So this is definitely a bit of a time between tours as Valjean, but this is very, very special. And I've been telling everyone the most talented cast that I've ever been a part of anywhere. So it's a phenomenal assemblage of talent. They've got people from Chicago, New York, L.A., all over the place.
Where are you from? Where are you currently live?
The Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area.
Okay.
Fremont, California specifically.
Fremont, yes, I know Fremont.
Indeed.
Did you grow up there, actually?
No, I actually grew up in Ventura, California. Oh,
Ventura.
It's about an hour north of LA.
Down by Oxnard.
Yeah, down by Oxnard, exactly. Exactly.
Now, what's the more demanding part of playing the lead in a production of this nature? The singing, the acting, the being on time.
Right. Yeah. That's actually a great point. Being on time. The first costume change, he goes from being a convict, and as I was speaking with Dennis Jones, one of the words that we hit on to really ground that first character, that first incarnation of Valjean, is feral. You know, he's it's this very animalistic thing, and then I think he's got about a minute and a half to go from a dusty convict and all this to a mayor. It's now, I don't remember how many years, 10 years later, and you know, it's a phenomenally quick costume change. So that, if there is one temporal moment that is that there's a bit of congestion there, it's that quick change. But then vocally, it's a very interesting role, and as Sara and I were speaking on the way here, the musical director, Sean Paxton, has given us as a cast so much latitude and freedom to really create. So in this particular incarnation, he's allowed all of us, and me as well, to really explore what we can do with our voices. So, which is a double-edged sword. You know, if they give you the freedom to do some, you know, growling and all big operatic, like I end the night with a high C, a tenor high C.
And then you pass out.
And then I pass out. Exactly. So there's a lot of challenges. There's a lot of challenges with the music and with the character. But it's so rewarding.
Now, what accompaniment do you have? Piano?
We've got really full orchestration.
Okay.
Remarkably full orchestration. Again, by Sean Paxton. He has written the music and scored it and composed it specifically for this production.
Okay. Is it pre-recorded or is it live?
It's pre-recorded. It's pre-recorded to accommodate the space, because again we've got so much going on that stage. Again, 32 performers and these huge set pieces and creating this whole world. So the music is pre-recorded.
So it's mostly all in tempo, then you don't have many ad-lib things to out-of-tempo things to sing?
No. But again, it's been tailored specifically for the performers. So if someone did something interesting that Sean was like, hey, that really worked well, he would actually go and edit the music to accommodate that kind of creative. So there's a lot of nuance in the music.
And I have to say, Cliff is just spectacular in the role.
Oh no, keep him humble. He's not doing a good job at all.
When we were casting the role, we saw a lot of different people. We saw people from the opera world. We saw people from musical theater world. And Cliff has this amazing ability because he begins the play really with a very feral sound. I mean, almost with a little bit of a rock edge.
You think, oh, he used to work in Cats.
Well, but then at the end, toward the end of the play, he has this absolutely magnificent aria that's called "Bring Him Home," and anybody who loves the show will know that moment. And he just has this angelic tenor that just floats out there. It's extraordinary.
Okay, that's enough of that.
Okay. I'll stop now.
Now, where do you audition for when the season comes up each year? Do you go to the Bay Area, or where do you go?
Sure, we audition in Sonora. We audition in Los Angeles. We audition in San Francisco, which is where we saw Cliff, and we also audition online so that people can submit their tapes to us. I guess they're not called tapes anymore, but they submit their video to us, and we audition them that way. The man who plays Javert, who is Cliff's opposite, the police detective, we never met him before we brought him out, but we saw him audition on YouTube, and we talked to some people that knew him, who knew us, so we made sure he was a good guy, and then we cast him.
Now, who goes to the auditions, you and who else?
Usually Dennis Jones, the director and the producing director of the theater, and Scott Vietz, who is the artistic director of the theater.
Okay.
For this particular play, because Dennis was directing and because there was so much music, it was Dennis and the musical director, Sean Paxton, and I got to go just for fun.
That's good.
They let me come sometimes.
Well, that's good. Now, when you audition, are you auditioning for the whole season or just for each particular show?
Usually we're auditioning for each particular show.
Okay.
Occasionally, if somebody knows they're not going to be available for the audition dates for a show coming up, but they're really interested, we'll try to fit them in as well. And certainly anybody that we see that has talent, even if they don't fit in that particular spot, we'll ask them back.
Well, each season you get quite a few repeat performers because you see somebody who's really good and you say, we got to have them.
We do. I would say maybe with most shows, anywhere from an eighth to a quarter of the cast would be people who are coming back a second time. This play is actually pretty unique in how few people have been with us before, but only because it just has such specific vocal demands.
Yeah, well, it's really ambitious, and it's going to run through what date?
It's going to run through May 4th.
May 4th. How many performances total?
58
I
or 60?
How
Yes.
many?
55, I think. And
55 performances.
right, and we play...
We'll bring you back at the end of the season. He'll be sitting on a booster seat because he's a real tiny person. Gee, that's a lot of performances.
Fortunately, in the show, he gets to age, so by the end of the show, he's supposed to be sort of hunched over. In fact, he's still got a little gray in his hair. We came right from his performance this afternoon. So
let's see, when we're taping this on a Wednesday, so there are Wednesdays, matinees.
Wednesdays at 2, Thursdays are an evening performances until April, and then they also go to 2. Fridays are at 7, Saturdays are at 2 and 8, and Sundays at 2. So it's 6 performances a week.
Well, that is a lot. Well, of course, that's kind of like Broadway-like, though.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You're used to doing things like that.
Yeah, that kind of schedule. And
What
and
other
also
shows
just
have you
vocally.
played in that people might know?
Jesus Christ Superstar, Hedwig and the Angry Inch, Jekyll and Hyde, some dramas, one by Richard Graham, I think, or Bruce. It's called Desperate Affection. It's another one.
When you were growing up, when you were like a teenager, do you think of yourself as basically a singer or an actor?
That's interesting. By that time, both. By the time I was a teenager, both. But initially, it started just with singing.
You play an instrument?
I play a little bit of guitar, but mostly for me. I'll write and But you spend enough time with something, little baby steps, get a little better.
Yeah.
But I play a little guitar.
Boy, that's good. Now, I mean, what are you planning for the 35th anniversary? Anything special?
Gosh, well, Les Mis is kind of the big one. That's
Yeah.
the one that we're using
And
to kick off.
I didn't necessarily mean the shows, because you always have
Oh.
a good series of shows. But
Sure.
You said you had, I think, an education program.
Right. We just this last November, we added a whole new element to our education program and have started a sort of a company called SRT Junior. And so that is adults doing shows in schools. It's students coming to see performances of our main stage shows.
Do they get like a special rate or something?
They do,
Okay.
sure.
Yeah.
And we do midweek matinees specifically for the schools as well.
Okay.
We have workshops for kids, and in fact, during spring break this year, Ralph Crummins, who is our education director, is going to be doing a workshop with slightly older kids about Les Mis. So they'll be actually
Okay.
learning some of the songs from the show, some of the dialogue from the show, and then the end of the week, they'll do their own presentation, and then they'll, as kind of the treat at the end, they get to come see the performance.
Oh, boy, that's good.
So
But
that'll be fun.
they'll try to do a whole performance, will they?
No, they'll do just
parts.
of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when the education program people go out to the schools, you perform a special show for them? Or-
Right. Ralph develops his own material, so he
Okay.
writes shows. Some of them are just positive kid-type shows, and other ones are more geared to be part of the curriculum.
Okay, I thought you were going to say, or just negative adult shows.
No.
Run the gamut. Yes.
Compare them both.
Right, right.
And how long would he or the whole whoever goes out spend at the school?
It's usually 2 or 3 performers, and they're usually 40-minute shows so that the schools can get them into a class period and have just a little bit of
Okay.
discussion afterward.
And the workshops, besides what you already mentioned, they'll also go into like staging or sets or other things about the theater?
They'll do a little bit of that. Right now, the focus is more on performing, on just developing confidence, learning how to speak clearly, and do a little bit of singing, a little bit of stage presence. So they're not going to be doing too much like putting on shows with sets and costumes and that sort of thing. Not at this point, at least.
Okay. Did you do shows when you were in high school, or did you start later?
I did a show or two in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did The Crucible. I did
Wow.
Pippin. Yeah.
I mean, you're doing pretty serious ones.
Like Dennis, we were talking in the car on the way here. I also like darker material, which is interesting for particularly musical theater. There's so much light,
Yeah.
stuff. But yeah, I gravitate towards the dramatic, I suppose.
But you're not going to do Bye Bye Birdie or something.
That'd be a tough order for me, actually. That'd be a tough order. I'd give it a
So
go.
you'd probably take it if you
Yeah,
if
give
was
it a
offered,
go.
though.
Yeah.
What type of songs do you like to sing, of a Broadway type?
Oh man, I really enjoy Bring Him Home. This Les Mis has Bring Him Home is a beautiful piece.
It's a musical prayer, really. I mean, it's
Exactly.
just
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's a very private address to God. It's pleading for the life of the man. Valjean receives from this woman Fantine, when she dies, the guardianship of her daughter Cosette. And there's this moment where Valjean doesn't know if this young man, Marius, is going to live this night at this barricade where there's this attack and this whole revolution thing. And for him, because he knows that he doesn't have a lot of time left, this young man is the next the next person to really care for Cosette. And so the moment that this song happens is in this moment, kind of a lull in the battle in the night, where he asks God to please keep this young man alive, so that he can love and protect his daughter Cosette. So that's powerful.
Well, it motivates you.
Motivates big time,
Now, how do you keep your voice in shape doing so many performances? And I mean, do you say, eat right, get right, sleep, all that?
Absolutely. The number one thing, for me, for vocal recovery is sleep. Number one thing is sleep. And then I'd be really quiet. And then, you want to make sure that you are fueling your body right. Make sure you've got some good protein because that's what helps rebuild. And a lot of warm. I drink a lot of tea, a lot of coffee.
Yeah. What do you have when you first get up?
First get up, I have a cup of coffee, and then I'll usually have like a bowl of oatmeal, banana, and raisins.
Okay.
Yeah.
During rehearsals, I teased Cliff a little bit because he walked around with one of those gallon containers of water, and he said he usually drinks about two a day of those, especially when he's performing or rehearsing.
Don't want to get dehydrated.
No, but it's also good for vocal health.
Oh,
and,
sure.
All kinds of reasons.
You ever had lemon ginger echinacea?
I have.
Yeah.
I have.
Have you had it hot?
Yes.
Well, that's what I have the first thing I get up in the morning. Heat it
Lemon
up.
ginger echinacea.
And it's just, it's kind of like a tea with honey, but it's very tasty.
Do you do raw ginger?
Pardon?
Do you do raw ginger?
No, it's all in one drink.
It's one
just
thing?
called Simply Nutritious.
Simply nutritious.
And it's just lemon, ginger, echinacea. It's all mixed already.
Fantastic.
And then I put some MSM to help arthritis.
Oh, nice.
But anyway, let's go over maybe you might have some comments on the upcoming season.
Sure.
I'll put my glasses. Nice little brochure you made up.
Thank you. We're opening with Les Mis, and then we open our Fallon House season on April 25th with Church Basement Ladies 2.
That was a big hit.
Last year, Church Basement Ladies went through the roof. We were taken completely by surprise, and there is a sequel to it called A Second Helping, and it's based on the books Growing Up Lutheran, but it's really just about the women who are in the basement of any church or even other institutions, sort of keeping everything afloat with their casseroles and their hot dishes and so forth.
Well, and they do keep it going too.
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
Now, same performers as last time, or different?
I think half the cast is the same. In fact, one of the man who played the pastor last year is in Les Mis this time, so he can't do it. But we'll have some of the favorites back. Becky Saunders, who played the church basement lady who was going through menopause, was probably the most popular character.
Every church lady should go through that. Okay, means she's getting older.
Right.
Now, next would be Pump Boys and Dinettes.
Pump Boys and Dinettes is actually one of the shows that we've done more than any other. We've only done 2 shows 3 times, and this will be the 4th time, so it'll be the most ever. Great, just rock and roll, country fun about 3 or 4 guys who run a gas station and the 2 Dinettes who run a diner next door. Just great music about friendship and I don't know, living a good life.
That sounds good. What rules are they now with when you have an equity theater? How many equity people you can have or can't have? What are the rules there?
There are different contracts for different size theaters. We actually operate under 2 different contracts, one at the Fallon House, which has 272 seats, and one at East Sonora, which has 199 seats.
Gee, I always thought Sonora was a little bigger. I don't know why. I had that in my mind.
Yeah, it's not, because Fallon is so long and narrow, it doesn't seem like there are as many seats, but there are. So we don't actually we have a minimum number of contracts that we can use at the Fallon House, the larger company. But at the East Sonora, we have no minimum. But generally, it's between two to 3. With Les Mis, we have 3 equity contracts.
Good. And then going on with the season, as the Sound of Music is after
Sound of
Pump
Music
Boys
at the
and
Fallon House. We try to do something that's family-centered during the summer. A lot of people are camping or just visiting the area with families, and so that's a real perfect one.
Do you know who's playing the lead in that?
I do not.
Yeah.
Actually, I know who's playing the captain, Captain Von Trapp, will be played by John C. Brown, who has done a number of shows with us and is a great favorite of our audience.
That's good. And then after that, All My Sons. That's something I haven't seen.
All My Sons is the first Arthur Miller that we'll be doing. He's the great American playwright. A lot of plays about conscience and business ethics and what it means to be American, and just a really beautiful, timeless play. We've been wanting to do it for many years, but we just feel like we're mature.
Plays? The creative, who selects the plays each?
That would be Dennis and Scott and myself.
You too.
I get to poke my nose in. I have a a slightly unkind subtitle at the theater, which is, I hope it's allowed on TV, but it's Artistic Badinsky. So
Dignified title.
I get to have a voice in some of the
That's
decisions.
good. How long have you been with SRT?
I'm one of the founders, so I've been
you-
there for 34 plus years.
You started at age 9.
Yes, I was a child.
There you go.
Just thank you very much. I was a child, yes.
Hey, that's good. Let's see, coming up after All My Sons is Mark Twain's A Murder, a Mystery, and a Marriage.
Right. It's a relatively new, kind of a bluegrass musical based on a short story by Mark Twain.
Yeah, it looks like dance hall girls in there, the picture.
There are some dance hall girls. There's a villain, so there's a little bit of, it has a little bit of a melodrama feeling. It's not a true melodrama, but there's definitely some audience participation in
They
that
will
one.
boo and hiss.
Yes.
They're allowed to do that.
Yes.
Okay. And then the 25th anniversary Putnam County Spelling Bee. Oh, I've heard of that.
Right. It was very, very popular when it was on Broadway, and it toured some. I think the tour came to San Francisco.
Yeah.
This is the first time it's been done up here. It's quite wild. It's adults playing kids, and it's a lot of fun.
They're spelling bad words.
There might be a bad word or two. I think
What?
that one might be PG-13,
You're
actually.
associated with that?
Well, we try to do a little bit of everything.
No. Well, I think you do have good variety,
Thank you.
each season too.
Right.
And then Christmas, the Sanders family Christmas, they've been with you before.
Actually, we've never done Sanders Family
Oh, is that
Christmas.
what you did some family thing, didn't you?
We may have. It's actually the sequel to Smoke on the Mountain, which some people may know. And we've never done either one, but it's a real kind of down-home country Christmas type of thing. And I think that's what a lot of our audience is looking for at that time of year.
Well, certainly in 35 years, I mean, you've had a record of consistency, that's for sure.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. We love doing what we do, and we really do put ourselves completely into it. So.
Yeah. Do you enjoy doing shows in the size theater?
Oh,
SRT?
yes. Yeah. Particularly with Les Mis, usually when you see Les Mis, it's done in these really, really vast
yeah.
spaces where you can kind of feel disconnected,
Yeah.
as an audience
Oh, they're
member.
way up in the balcony. And
Right.
Yeah. Whereas this, everything's right there. Everything's right there. So when you watch a show like Les Mis in this space, it's very, very intimate, and you feel like you could be leaning on an alley away in France, watching the action happen. As the revolution
I
unfolds.
guess the lighting on that show is pretty crucial, huh?
The lighting is crucial, and it is beautiful. Chris Van
Tile.
Brilliant lighting designer. I'm usually back on the other side of the stage, so I don't get to see much. But
Yeah.
in the last couple of rehearsals, I got to sit out in the audience and watch a couple scenes.
Oh, good.
And it is beautiful. The reds and the blues and the fog. My word! If you yes, there's a lot of fog in the show. And
Well,
it's
you
very
being from
effective.
Fremont, you've seen your share of that, huh?
Yes, yeah, a bit.
So you
Lived in
see-
San Francisco for 5 years. So yeah,
Well, you've
yeah.
seen your share of real fog.
Real
Right.
fog, yeah.
Now,
It-
how
it's-
is it when you have such a large cast, and I don't know how big the backstage is at the theater,
There's, it's sort of like this.
I mean, you can run into each other and not get on stage in time.
Yes, that is a concern perpetually, constantly throughout the thing. But you know what? Is we all work together. Everyone there, again, it's the most talented cast I've ever been a part of, and everyone is invested in the success. So while with the magnitude of the show, and people that come see it, when they see what happens, what Dennis has done with the set design, it's even more impressive when you imagine what's going on backstage. But it's harried, but fun, and we find order in the chaos.
That's
yeah.
order in the room.
Dennis really wanted to almost accentuate that closeness rather than pretend that we were one of those theaters and try to create that distance. I mean, he literally brings the singers just right up to the edge of the stage. So, and the furthest row back is 10 rows. So the power of the sound and the singing is
And it's
really
mic'd
wonderful.
you're not individually mic'd, or
We are
oh, you are?
actually, yeah.
Of the main singers.
Yeah, all the principals are mic'd,
Yeah.
and a good deal of the ensemble, I think, is mic'd. like 50% of the time. I think at any one time maybe there's 6 or 7 people that aren't, but they're in places where we can all fill with.
That's a real sound challenge for the audio person.
It
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
it is. But it's really important to be able to hear everybody the same in a sense, and to be able to have the score loud enough so that you can really feel the power of that as well. It's a beautiful score that Sean created.
One of the things I've always liked at Fountain House is I can always hear. I don't hear that well, and I can always hear. And that's crucial.
Well, one of the new things that we put in this past year, toward the end of the year, to get ready for the 35th, was we did put in a new assisted listening equipment for the East Sonora Theater. So you might check it out. See if
that's good.
See
You'll
if you
take
like
old people, right? Okay.
and myself.
No,
Yes.
I've been here a lot more than 35 years.
Yeah.
Now, you're always in need of things, so
Yep.
things, I mean, you can't run a theater the way you do, and it has been run without considerable expenses. So I know
Right.
in the magazine or the paper that you send out,
Sure.
if people want to get in contact, have a ladder or have tools or whatever you need, you're really in need of those things.
Exactly. And in fact, I think on the website also there's a list of the things that we need at any given time.
Yeah.
But there are certain things like sturdy vacuum cleaners and sturdy ladders that are on the list perpetually, because you do go through those.
The
But
church
we
ladies
also-
should have some of those.
We do. We had to get an old refrigerator. We had to get an old stove. So those are things that we've gotten off the wish list. We've had cars donated to us because a lot of the people who come from the East Coast for shows, we have to be able to provide them with transportation. So people have donated cars. We have the actors are housed in the community. So the community also
It's a
donates
big
housing.
cast to house.
It is a very big cast.
Yeah.
We have a young woman on our staff named Lisette who does all of the housing arrangements, and I think she was a little nervous going into this one, but everybody seems to have landed in a
They're
comfortable
treating you
spot.
all right. Cliff.
Oh, they're treating, yes, it's phenomenal. The experience top to bottom. The housing, the integrity of the work, everything is brilliant. It's brilliant.
He doesn't like it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Never
wonderful.
did like it.
It warms my heart. Oh.
He says, "Get me out of Calaveras, or wrong county, Tuolumne."
No, and in fact, driving over here was the first time he had seen this part, the 49, and I think he's
Yeah.
going to be back next time he gets a
Oh,
day
yeah.
off because it's so
Yeah.
beautiful.
Come over, buy a couple of cows.
Yeah, I'd love to. I was asking about real estate. You know, who knows? Maybe I need some cows.
Our
over there.
house is for sale.
There you go.
Hey, anyway, thanks a lot for coming. Nice to meet you, and
you
good to
very
see you
Thank you,
again.
John. It's a pleasure.
And it's the 35th anniversary of SRT, and it's certainly, what did you say, this is over in May what?
May 4th.
May 4th, so especially this first show, get out and see Les Mis, and you'll get to see Cliff acting and singing. So we'll see you next time on Calaveras Living.